You know what's wild? The Blue Jays offseason just got a whole lot more interesting, and I need to break down what's happening right now because this could change everything. But real quick before we dive in, if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button because the rumors coming out are absolutely insane, and you don't want to miss what's next. So let's get right into it. There's been this massive development around Elly De La Cruz, and I'm telling you, this is the kind of opportunity that doesn't come around often. According to reports from back in January, the Reds offered Ellie a club record extension worth more than Joey Votto's deal, which was around $225 million. And here's the kicker. He turned it down, just flat out said no. When asked about it, Ellie basically said he lets his agent handle all that stuff, and guess who represents him? Scott Boras. Yeah, that's Scott Boras. Now this is where things get really interesting for the Blue Jays. Over the past few weeks, there's been serious rumblings about Ellie's future in Cincinnati, which has opened up trade possibilities. And listen, I know what you're thinking. The Jays already have shortstops. They have Ernie Clement. They have IKF. So why would they go after another one? But hear me out on this. Elly De La Cruz is not just any player. We're talking about a guy who nearly stole 70 bases last season. 70. He finished in the top 10 for MVP voting in 2024. He had a 776 OPS last year, an 810 the year before. The athleticism, the speed, the raw talent, it's exactly what this Blue Jays team is missing. And yeah, you could move pieces around. You could shift guys to different positions. The point is, when a talent like this becomes available, you have to at least explore it. Here's why this matters even more for Toronto specifically. The Blue Jays have been in constant contact with Scott Boras clients. They've got the financial flexibility that a lot of teams don't have right now. And Ellie's coming off what some people are calling a down year, which means his trade value might actually be lower than it was before, even though he's still an elite talent. The Reds are in this weird spot where if they're not going to extend him, they probably need to move him sooner rather than later. He's only 24 years old. He's in his third year of service time, so he's under control for a couple more years. But teams like Cincinnati, they can't risk losing a guy like this for nothing. Now let's talk about what it would actually cost. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It would be expensive. We're probably talking about a package built around someone like Arjun Nimala, potentially multiple top 10 prospects. And I know that sounds like a lot, but think about it this way. If you're trading prospects for Elly De La Cruz, you're not just getting a rental. You're getting a young superstar that you could potentially extend and pair with Vlad Guerrero for the next decade. That's the kind of move that changes your franchise. Is it likely? Probably not. Most teams would love to have Ellie, but how many of them are willing to throw 300, maybe 350 million at him in an extension? That's the real question. The Blue Jays could do it. They have the money. They missed out on Kyle Tucker. They've missed out on other guys, so maybe this is where they go all in. Obviously, it depends on how the Reds season is going, how willing Cincinnati is to move him, and whether Ellie even wants to come to Toronto. There's been some chatter about him preferring the Dodgers, which honestly, who doesn't these days? But the Jays have to at least make the call. And look, I get it. His peripherals aren't perfect. There are legitimate questions about his approach at the plate. But the upside is undeniable. The speed alone would transform this lineup. I've been saying for months now that the Blue Jays need to add someone with real stolen base potential. Someone who can change the game on the base paths. It doesn't have to be Ellie specifically, but adding that element would do so much for this team's identity. Now, while we're on the topic of big moves and big moments, Trey Savage finally spoke out about the World Series loss. And honestly, his comments hit pretty hard. He said he spent a lot of time in the woods hunting after the season ended, trying to cope with how things finished. He admitted he hasn't watched a single second of Game 7 since it happened, and he's never going to. Every time he sees clips on social media, it makes him emotional. It makes him sad. That's the reality of how close they were. That loss is going to stick with these guys, but Savage said, they'll be better for it next season. It's one of those cliché things that everyone says, but you have to believe it's true. This is a young core that just went through the fire. Savage himself had one of the best rookie seasons in Blue Jays history, really one of the best performances you'll see from any rookie pitcher. The experience of getting that close and falling short, it's either going to break you or make you stronger. And everything we've heard suggests these guys are using it as fuel. David Schneider also chimed in recently about the team chemistry last season. He talked about how in spring training, all 26 guys just clicked. Everyone was giving everything they had, and when you have that kind of buy-in, it makes it easier to get along off the field. He said it was a different guy stepping up each night, and that's what makes a winning team. Now, Schneider's own future with the team is interesting. He's only projected to get about 21% of playing time in left field, maybe some time at second base. With guys like Joey Loperfido, Nathan Lukes, Anthony Santander, you've got a crowded outfield situation. Schneider's main value is that he absolutely crushes lefties and has a really solid plate approach, but it's going to be tough for him to find consistent at-bats. But getting back to the bigger picture here, the Elly De La Cruz situation is something you have to keep your eye on. Even if it seems unlikely, even if it doesn't make perfect positional sense, this is the kind of move that could define the Blue Jays' next era. You're talking about pairing a 24-year-old superstar with Vlad, building around young talent, and finally adding that dynamic element this lineup has been missing. Would I personally give up Arjun Nimala for Elly De La Cruz? If you're getting a long-term extension done, if you're confident he wants to be in Toronto, then yeah, I probably would. The risk is real because you're giving up a top prospect who could be your future shortstop, but Elly is already proven at the major league level. He's already putting up elite numbers. That's the kind of calculated risk that contending teams have to take. The Blue Jays are at a crossroads right now. They're weeks away from spring training. They've struck out on some big names in free agency. The trade market has been their best avenue for upgrades, and Ross Atkins has shown he's willing to be aggressive when the right opportunity presents itself. Whether it's Elly De La Cruz or someone else, they need to make a splash. This roster is too talented to waste another year spinning their wheels. So that's where we're at. Keep an eye on the Elly situation, see if Cincinnati actually makes him available, and watch what the Blue Jays do in response. This offseason isn't over yet, and there could still be some major fireworks before opening day. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Would you trade Nimala and prospects for Elly? Do you think the Jays should go all in or play it safe? I'll catch you in the next one.